Hello. So today I'm just going to go over some of the finds that I came up with at a recent trip to the Goodwill Bins outlet store. For those of you who don't know, the Goodwill Bins outlet store is basically a place that when things don't sell at the regular Goodwill retail stores, they box it up and send it to the bins outlet. And what happens is they take all the stuff, they divide it into things like housewares, clothing, electronics. They sort of haphazardly throw them all roughshod into these big blue bins. And then, in a semi orderly fashion, you're allowed to sort of dig through them, pull out your treasures, and then you pay by weight. The different categories have different evaluations in terms of how much you have to pay per pound. But yeah, you can get some good stuff there. They do get raw donations in there as well. But as I said, a lot of it is stuff that just didn't sell at the stores for whatever reason, and they're looking to move it out quick because I think after that, although I'm not 100%, I think it goes to the landfill. So they're trying to avoid that because I'm sure the dump fees cost an amount. And plus, it's not great for the environment for all that stuff heading there. So, yeah. So we'll just dive into it. So I usually concentrate on the housewares and some of the other bins that would have toys and things like that in there. I do look for vintage clothing, and but I don't often spend a lot of time digging in the clothing bins. But here's some of the good stuff I got. 1990s micro machines. It's the City Van, and like a lot of toys in the 1990s, it transformed. If you're not familiar with micro machines, they were tiny little vehicles, cars, trucks, airplanes, just about anything you think of. And then you would get these sort of slightly larger sets that usually would transform into a city or some other kind of adventure site. I do sell a lot of toys through here, through the store, in mainly from the 60s and 70s and 80s, but the 90s toys have started to pick up, and so I do pick them up wherever I can. This was kind of a cool little piece. There you go. Cowbell. Looks to be brass. A little bit of age to it because of the embroidery on the strap on there, but it's a nice decorative piece, and people are always looking for things like that to hang in their home. Another good thing that I came up with actually was cassettes. I deal with a lot of old media, as you can see here in the store. It's a lot of records. But a lot of people have been asking me for cassettes, as well as VHS tapes, but I just can't be bothered with those. But the cassettes I will pick up, and there was a good bunch of them there. It's mostly classic rock that I tend to be able to move, so that's what I concentrate on. Alternative and punk, if I can, just, for my personal self, I'll grab one or two. But there's, Queen, Night at the Opera, Soundgarden, Louder Than Love, great album. Always wanted the cassettes from the Sound of Vision collection. Get the lead out, a little bit of Zeppelin, can't hurt. But I got a whole bag full of those ones in there. There must be probably 20, 25 cassettes. Let's see what else. This. So, Blockbuster, as some of you, if you grew up, were a teenager in the 80s and I think right up until the 90s, Blockbuster was basically like the go-to place. You went looking for your DVDs, and there's been a ton. They all closed down except for one, apparently. I think it's in North Carolina. And there's just been a ton of nostalgia, and people sort of looking back to a fun time in their life. So anything Blockbuster I get pretty much goes out the door right away. So this happened to be inside a little case. And yeah, so it's a nice little sort of nostalgic piece that somebody can take to work. I think it's a thermos. This is a great piece. 60s, possibly 70s ramp walker. And it's Donald and Huey, Louie, and Dewey, but I think one of them's missing their head. But still a cool, tiny little piece. It's made in Hong Kong, and it does have the Walt Disney Productions name on it. And I'm a sucker for old trophies. I shouldn't buy them, but I just do. But this one's really unique because it actually is a clock. And the clock does work. It plugs in, and it's a great little curling guy there. And it's actually labeled from the trophy company in Toronto. So that's just something fun, somebody kitschy that they would just throw up on their mantle, or maybe on a side table. Cool little clocks. Speaking of clocks, yeah, I'll pick up a Swatch whenever I can come across them. They were fun. This one's actually pretty plain comparative to some of them, a little more along the classic lines, but some of them get really wild, and I know that there's a big collector's community out there for that. Now, even though I did say I don't go near the clothing bins, every so often I'll see something sticking out, and this was the one thing that caught my eye. Let's see if I can stand up here and give you a better view. It is an all-leather Letterman style jacket, and it's a really unique color too, with the gold or yellow leather with blue arms, blue highlights. I believe that the buttons are actually Bakelite too. They're some sort of early plastic. Great patch on there, Montreal West Seniors, 1951-52. Probably hockey, I'm going to say. And there's the early label on that. It's actually in pretty good shape. There's a little bit of wear down on the edges here, but you know, it's just honest use. I mean, the thing is, what, 70 years old now? It's got to be getting there. Numbers on the arms as well. I'm thinking probably I'll have to look into Montreal West. It might have been a house league for hockey, or this could be a high school jacket. There's nothing on the back, but still, that's just a killer piece. You don't find stuff of that age. But there were a couple of things, all from sort of the Eastern Ontario and Quebec area. Here's one. Dorval Riders, 1970s champs. Again, probably football in this case, because the Riders with the Ottawa Rough Riders team back then. So that other jacket may also be football. Kind of gives you a clue, but it's just a cool little jacket. No tag on it unless it's hidden under there, but good size too with that one because it's slightly larger. And then this one was also in the same bin with those other ones beside there. The jacket itself isn't really very much, but the patches on the back are what make this the piece. All the mid-60s, Hockey Junior League, that's a great Halloween. This one's the Chateauguay District, Autumn 1968, Cubbery, so Boy Scouts and Cubs, there's all kinds of things on there. I love this one here with the Chateauguay Valley District, Space Age 69, Camporee, a little rocket capsule there going through space. And there's another one that's space related. You know, I guess, 69, it's right around the moon landing. So yeah, that's just the patches on that one are cool. Unfortunately, the jacket's a bit worn, but it would make a great display piece, even just hanging it on your wall. So that's really all the clothing that I got. Here's another cool piece that was in a separate bin, but might have even come from the same person. It's a goalie glove, and it's an earlier one, the Super Pro 5115 CCM, the earlier CCM thing. I'm going to say this is probably 60s, and it's in pretty good shape. Usually the webbing is torn on these, and this one's not that bad at all. So again, that would make another great display piece for somebody's in someone's collection. Keep in mind, all this is by the pound. I think the clothing is 95 cents a pound, and I think the rest is somewhere around the... clothing is $1.95 a pound, I think, and the rest, housewares and things like that, is somewhere around 95 cents. So yeah, didn't pay a heck of a lot for all this. Well under $100, I think, for all of this in total. Smurfs Ahoy game. You can't go wrong with Smurfs. I actually get people coming in all the time asking for Smurf stuff or the actual Smurfs themselves. But this was a cool little game put out in, I believe, yes, 1977. There's a copyright right there by Milton Bradley in Canada. It's in a little bit bashed up shape, but oh wait, there's another. maybe 1982. It's weird that it has 2 copyrights. And it looks like all the pieces are there. I guess they had a little boat that would tip over, and you try not to lose all your Smurfs. Why would you want to lose your Smurfs? So yeah, cool little piece. What else in here? A Breyer horse. For those who don't know, Breyer was a company that started out, I believe, in the 50s and 60s. I could be wrong on that. Making these plastic mold horses that are fairly detailed, and they are really well collected by a lot of different people. They are fairly lifelike, and it's the paint that makes them. And this one's in really good shape, no cracks or breaks. The actual Breyer mark is usually underneath the legs right there. You can see it there. It says Breyer USA on it. I'm not a horse guy, so I couldn't identify that horse, but they have all different horses, and they do identify each of the breeds. So this one I bought more for myself because, you know, I still like my toys. It's not that old, 2013, but it is a cool little diorama. I guess it was put out in a limited edition for the PS3 game station for one of the Batman games. And those TVs light up when you throw a battery in there. It actually sells for a fair amount of money, like $40-50 on eBay as it is. So, but I probably end up keeping that one because I'm a bit of a comic book nerd, so I enjoy that sort of thing. And there's another personal thing for myself, just some brand new in the package guitar strings, which I'm always breaking guitar strings. This is something I didn't expect to find, and the fact that they're not broken is just a bit of a miracle, because as I said, these things are just tossed in these bins. There's no organization to it, and when people are going through things, they're picking stuff up and throwing it around, and these fiberglass shades are so fragile and crush easy. It's a great gooseneck, probably from the 60s, maybe a little bit earlier, but a great gooseneck lamp. Visible fiberglass shades with these really cool kind of metallic highlights on there that just look really great when you light it up. This one's had a bit of scorching from probably a bulb that was too high of a wattage put in there, but I don't think it takes away that much from it. Overall, that's a pretty nice piece. Surprised to actually find that. I am saving the best for last, just so in case you're getting some glimpses of things. Here are a bunch of books. Now, books were cheaper too. I can't remember what they were in per pound, but they are cheaper, obviously, than the other things because they do weigh a lot. And mostly I avoid books, but a lot of these were architecture books. Now, the thing I know is that architecture books, because for a little while I was, after university, got into architecture, textbooks and any sort of books cost an arm and an absolute leg. So I just picked these out of there. These are mostly from the 70s and 60s. Some of them, actually this one on there had a sell on eBay of well over $100. Some of these are the Perspecta from the Yale Architectural Journal, and there is a stack of them in here. And again, these are ones that bring in some fairly good cash. That's another one. It's Japanese, and one of those sold for $60 on eBay too, and an actual sell-through, not just somebody with a buy it now. So yeah, that's there's must be 15 or so books in there, and again, by the pound, probably not very much, because again, the whole thing, I don't think I spent $100 on the whole thing. This is the one that blows my mind next. It's not the prime find, but it's one of them. A Westinghouse all-tube, atomic-styled, copyright 1954 radio. And it's all there. Now, usually I have found radios at the bins once or twice, but they are smashed. And this one does have a crack, but it looks like it's an older crack, not something that happened in the bins itself. And these great atomic legs that it's stylized atomic legs that are sitting on there, just great. The dial itself is so fantastic. It's Westinghouse, made in Canada. And somebody, I actually had this in their hands, and I saw them go plug it in, and it didn't turn on for them. And so they went and put it back, and I immediately jetted over and grabbed it. It's a tube radio. Tubes that have been off for a long time take a good sometimes minute to warm up, 30 seconds to a minute. This guy didn't wait that long. I did. I just plugged it in and said, you know what, even if it doesn't work, I'll keep it because it just looks really cool. And sure enough, I plugged it in, waited about a minute and a half, or probably not even that long, and then we got static. So yeah, the tubes fire up in there. It's all original. It's such an amazing piece. I wish this part lit up. It doesn't. It's not designed to, but that would have been really the sort of the cherry on top of the sundae. That would have been just tip top. Now the next thing I'm going to show you is unbelievable, and I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of people calling BS on this, but no, legitimately, I did find it here. It is an Empire turntable with an SME 3009 tone arm and cartridge and head shell. Empire turntables were an American company in the 60s, and they made these things. They're built like tanks. They're exceptionally valuable, and they're highly sought after. This was actually in several pieces. The actual platter itself was in one bin. The rest of it was over in another. Again, can't believe that it wasn't smashed up. Almost all the parts are there. I found the motor cover in another bin altogether. I went searching once I found this. The killer thing about this is that tone arm sells for hundreds and hundreds of dollars on its own, and the actual turntable itself, again, easily $500 conservatively, maybe a bit more. But I mean, the thing is just beautiful. It's such a well designed and engineered machine. If you do a bit of research on Empire and Empire turntables, it will blow your minds. I believe this is a model 398. It does, the motor fires up first try. I don't have a belt for it because the way these work is the belt goes on there and around the turntable itself, the platter, and it spins it like that. That thing will go forever just by itself. It's so smooth and so well engineered. Yeah, as you guys know, I collect vinyl. I've got a fairly big collection, 6,000 pieces or so. So this thing, for me, I'm going to try to get it going. I might keep it. I have a couple of really good turntables, nothing that even comes close to this. This is the kind of thing you dream about finding anywhere. I'm assuming this was a raw donation that went straight there, because if this had gone out into the stores, it would have been bought up in a second. And the fact that it isn't destroyed, that tone arm is a fairly